The FNAF movie is fast approaching.
But with all the questions we have about it, there's still the ones that we want an answer to.
Yeah, 9 years of confusing, convoluted lore can be explored by Blumhouse.
But what mysteries do we want to explain the most?
That's what we're exploring today.
Let's do it.
In 10, the bite of 87. I'm gonna be straight with you. We still don't know who caused the bite of 87, or in reality, who the bite of 87 was actually on. Like, we have theories, we have a theory that it was Mangle, that it was Freddy, or that it was Chica, and that they bit Jeremy, but the theories don't equal fact. This incident has been on our minds since the first game, and we haven't been able to come up with a definitive, confirmed answer yet. So, if you ask me, that's certainly something that I'd like explored in the movie. It's been like 9 years at this point, and we still haven't gotten a direct answer, and if anything, we've gotten conflicting answers. We thought that it was Mangle, but then the handprint on Freddy's face seemed to indicate that it was him, and then Ultimate Custom Night made us think that it was Toy Chica because she said, "Where's my beak?" lodged in your forehead. It makes it seem like it was her. We have no real answer, despite what you're going to tell me in the comments, because I know that it's happening. I know that you're all angrily commenting about how it's confirmed and it's canon, but it's really not, okay? Unless Scott clearly says Mangle caused the bite, all we have is theories, which means that it's still a mystery, it's still a question that I want solved in the freaking movie.
Number 9, why Ballora? This isn't really a super specific question, obviously, but that is simply because when it comes to Ballora, there is actually so much we really need answered. Chiefly, why? Why does she exist? Why does she sing such sad songs? What does that mean? Why did Afton make her? Why does she both seemingly want to help us and hurt us in Sister Location? I'm not sure if Ballora will appear in the first FNAF film, but I do think regardless, the film's existence provides us with an opportunity to at least attempt to answer these questions. How? Why? Through just simply allowing us to better understand William and his motivation for making the animatronics. While I don't know if the more humanoid ones will appear, we at least might get to see William start to get interested in that prospect. And perhaps there are real-world people he'll interact with that will inspire Ballora's creation.
In 8, the Stitchwraith. The Stitchwraith was a character introduced in the Fazbear Frights book epilogues, with each installment of the series giving you another chapter of its story. However, we have still yet to see why that character was introduced, and if it's going to be included in anything in the future. It's possible that this was like another planned antagonist, possibly for like the Security Breach DLC. However, these books started releasing before Scott also announced his retirement. The Stitchwraith is a mysterious figure wearing Phineas's black trench coat, and it wears a white mask, which is later revealed to be the head of the Simon doll. The mask's features are drawn on with thick black marker. It has 2 eyes, one of which is just blackened out, and it was originally intended to resemble like the black eye on Simon. It has like a toothy grin with missing teeth. It has looks like blood around the mouth, but it's apparently supposed to be pizza sauce. The rest of its body is an endoskeleton of unknown origin, and it has Fetch's battery in its chest, and then it glows red, but like also nothing else ever comes from this character. So, I don't know. Like, what do you think? Will the Stitchwraith appear on screen instead of on the pages anytime soon? Are we gonna like see a little hint to the character in the movie?
Number 7, what does Michael know about his dad? Based on the fact that Michael's mom is supposed to be in this movie, it makes me think that he probably doesn't know that much, at least in this version of the story. If his mom is present, this might mean that she actually hasn't told Michael the truth about his father and is keeping the secret from him because of some terrible things that she knows about William. Or it could mean that Michael in the story is adopted and doesn't actually know the truth about his biological parents, likely William and maybe, I don't know, Clara. I'm interested to see perhaps if part of the reason he takes a job at Freddy's is because he actually wants to get close to William, who he actually suspects he might be related to. That could actually be a good solid narrative reason for him to be snooping around, and could give him a strong motivation to stay at the job, despite the strange nightly goings on at the restaurant. I mean, we do need a reason for him to like keep coming back, right? And what he knows or doesn't know of his biological father could be the key to helping this other largely unanswered plot point make sense.
And it's 6, possession rules. Possession in the FNAF universe is very interesting. However, it's not something that we fully understand yet. There are a couple of things that we know, like how agony is one of the most powerful emotions that stretches out further from the body than anything else. But we don't really know if agony, grabbing hold of something, and what we call possession are the same thing. We don't know if, like, when you die, your remaining agony is what does it, or if it's supposed to be your spirit. We don't know any of the actual rules, if there are any, regarding possession. We don't know if you need to be close to the thing that you're possessing, assuming that possession and agony are different, since if it is agony, you would need to be around the thing. We know very little about this whole thing, and it's probably going to stay that way. I mean, if we knew about the rules, it would mean that the series would also then be confined to those rules, but by never establishing them, the game can do whatever they want and we can't really question it, since they never said it couldn't happen. So yeah, I'm just hoping that the laws of possession within the FNAF universe kind of get established more, so that we can use that to figure more shit out.
Number 5. How does William Afton feel about being a father? Honestly, there's so many questions that are unanswered that I need answers to about, like, just William Afton alone. This man is an enigma to me, even after all of these years. Something that has always super confused me when it comes to William is what his intention with his own kids is. I mean, how does he feel about them? Does he love them? Has he only ever tried to protect them, but, you know, everything maybe just went awry? Or does he somehow blame them for something and so has actually intentionally kind of set out to torment them? This is what I need to know. We have had no real answers regarding this. There have been indicators that in some ways William has, you know, tried to protect his kids, but then in other ways he's kind of done like just the opposite of that. So really, there is evidence for both him cherishing them, but also resenting them possibly. Is it possible he feels both, or that he perhaps suffers from some kind of emotional mental split? Maybe some dissociative identity disorder plays into this that we just don't know about yet? Whatever the answer, I feel like having this question answered in general will also help us to understand other aspects of William's personality and motivation as a character and as a major antagonist in the story.
And for FNAF 3 ending. Which FNAF 3 ending is canon still actually isn't solidified. Most people assume for it to be the good ending, since it takes more work and we set the souls of the original 5 missing children free, but in reality, we don't know which ending really happened in the main timeline. When asked about it in an interview with Dawko, Scott Cawthon said that he wasn't going to answer that, since he knows how the community gets with things, and cited the arguments over Mangle's gender as a reason why he wouldn't answer. But in my mind, that would just be more of a reason to answer it, since we wouldn't end up fighting over which ending is correct. But that's a theory for another day. There was also the common 2-eye theory that aimed to explain that there were 2 souls inside Golden Freddy, since Golden Freddy had 2 eyes lit in the bad ending. However, that is also not true, since the character of Crying Child hadn't been introduced yet, and this was the planned final game of the series. So why would an animatronic suddenly have 2 souls inside it? And the light in the other eye is just because that's how light works. It's simple physics. So basically everything about the FNAF 3 ending is still a mystery, but if the comments I've seen about the movie being the first 3 games are true, I really hope they explain this fully.
Number 3. Why does Michael return each night? I touched on one possible reason for this motivation for Josh Hutcherson's character, but there could be a slew of other options when it comes to the answer to this question. Could be as simple as, you know, a simple paycheck that Michael desperately needs, or the motivation could come in the form of a mystery that Michael simply needs to know the answer to. He could be an aspiring young video journalist looking to get the big scoop on what's really happening at Freddy's after the word got out the children had gone missing. I mean, any of these things could be possible. There are many reasons he could be there, but the fact remains that the games and books have never really given us a clear, definitive reason for this plot point in the story. All we know is we play as Mike, who maybe is using a pseudonym, since we now know thanks to Game Lore that he is William's son. However, as I said earlier, this might be less intentional on Mike's part. He may not know at this point that he is an Afton and simply be using the name that, you know, he grew up knowing is his as his actual legal name. I'm still personally a fan of the theory that Michael Afton was once in William's care and for one reason or another escaped or was actually taken away from him, and could even somehow be Crying Child. Like, Crying Child is basically Mike's past self who didn't die but actually got like a brain injury and simply forgot his dad and the time spent with him or something like that.
And ultimately, in at number 2, shadow animatronics. One of the oldest theories is that the shadow animatronics are the first of the Springlock victims. This comes to us after the FNAF 3 phone guide dialogue that mentioned multiple and simultaneous Springlock failures, which some interpreted as multiple Springlock suits failing at once, since the term Springlock in this situation is used to describe the suit as a whole and the individual Springlock mechanisms that are present within the suits. So, the line of multiple and simultaneous could mean multiple of these Springlocks inside the suit failing at the same time, or more than one suit failing at the same time. This led some to theorize that previous employees were killed in these Springlock suits, which is where the shadow animatronics come from. This is supported by the fact that these shadows are from Freddy and Bonnie, the 2 animatronics that have Springlock versions, but there are still holes in the theory. And while there is always the ability for the characters to be explored and explained in the movie, which I feel like is possible because they're pretty damn freaky characters.
Number 1. Why does William Afton kill? I mean, this one has been plaguing us literally forever. We still have no idea what the motivation behind Afton's kills are. And here's hoping that when Matthew Lillard takes on this role, this will be one of the prominent questions in the front of his mind that he'll want answers to and likely want to give us answers to as well. After all, it's kind of hard to connect with a character as an actor when you can't understand the character's motivations. I'm hoping this will be built right into the script, of course, but if it isn't somehow, then I'm hoping we at the very least get an inclination from Lillard as to why William Afton does what he does. After all, it doesn't have to be verbally communicated or even have like a whole scene about it, but there could be at the very least little hints throughout the film that help us to understand the answer to that question. I don't think that's asking too much. In fact, I don't even think asking for a blatant in-script answer at this point is too much. It's been way too long. We've been pretty patient on this one, so.
That's all the time we have for today though, guys.
Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!